Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm Icarix and he's Kinagusis.
Yes, as he says. And we are joined together by two good friends of ours, Rathima and Dovina.
Hello there. I'm Vatimas.
Yes. So here we are. Well, we're not exactly right where we left off in the last episode.
You missed out on the show, our two guest stars. I hope
you missed out on on what would have been our previous episode because Icarix was sick, then he was busy with work, so he never got his shit together for the video, and then
I offer peace as I would throw a rope
corrupted.
to a drowning.
Hey,
so
I'm a
we have to
working
show
man,
you what
okay?
came afterwards.
The gods.
But currently, as you see, we have basically defeated Rome for all intents and purposes. And we are also kicking Massalia's ass. So things are going pretty well at this point.
Well, that is very good to hear if I do say so myself.
Yes, but
There's just so much going on screen here. Like, I've never really played much real-time strategy games myself, so it's kind of all new to me.
yes, well, right at this moment, we are dealing with highly edited footage by Icarix, but basically I'm just moving armies around and I'm building buildings and dealing with maybe some occasional diplomacy.
The name of the game here, guys, is strategy planning.
Yes, and
I can see that.
yes,
A lot of it requires a lot of time, patience, and skill.
yes,
Something I don't have because I'm not good at strategy games myself. This is more of Kinagusis' realm.
yes, I'm the big strategy nerd. But speaking of strategy and armies, we finally got access to those new African elephants, the Atlas elephants I talked a lot about. The best elephants for Carthage, so I'm recruiting them.
They're way better than Indian elephants.
No, Indian elephants are still better.
Those fights, the elephants are gonna slap.
Elephants can do a lot of damage if utilised well.
Yeah.
They're also a lot of fun to use. They scare the shit out of enemies, and they can do a lot of damage.
Yes, and I like to rank the amount of damage that they do in a battle.
In a
just
charge.
because I'm sick and fun at the same time.
Yes, we have our next campaign that we'll be doing once we get this finished will include plenty of elephant action, because it'll be the Seleucids with their Indian elephants. Also, we'll have some nice chariot action, because they use scythe chariots, but that won't be for another good long while.
Kinagusis is a huge fan of spikes on the end of his wheels.
Scythes.
I can see that, yeah.
They're
He has
very
a
interesting,
problem, I know.
they're very interesting historically, although they apparently were next to useless in real history. And they were probably more effective as a terror weapon than an actual.
It's
real
more
damage.
decorative than anything else.
I suppose it did more to scare the bejesus out of your enemy than actually do much killing on the battlefield in history.
Yeah,
But
like the same as dressing up in the nudes in battle is basically the same thing.
well, certainly Celts were fond of going in the nip, fighting in the nip. Which we have some naked units in some armies, but you
It's
cannot.
what's more frightening. Because what's more frightening than a soldier in the nip who's not afraid of their pride?
No, but anyways. So we are just looking over some shit at the moment. We'll get some.
So then, how much
battles
of Europe do you have conquered at this point? Or does it really work like that?
At this point, I have conquered a good chunk of Europe. From what I can see, I've conquered pretty much all of Italy, most of Spain. I control a good chunk of North Africa, and that's about it. And I'm seeping into Gaul, which is modern-day France.
Can I just say he's also very excessive in the way he conquers what he does is like he chooses to.
What I've been doing is what's called sacking and razing. Sacking is when you kind of loot a settlement, you pillage it, and then razing is when you just destroy it.
Like I said, very excessive. He needs
That's
to go
because
all
it's
the
the
way
more-
for
Yeah,
some
you decide
reason.
what kind of racism you want to employ.
It's just more for what you call efficiency when it comes to taking a settlement. That's not your own culture. For
I love how you
gameplay,
talk about that so coldly.
it's pure gameplay. It's a gameplay decision thing. It's what's been said to be a more effective thing. But yeah,
I understand.
Still very sociopathic, if I do say so myself.
yes. Well, suppose that's just you're dealing with warfare in the ancient world. There's a lot of hacking and killing going on, so you have to just look at it with a cold indifference to life. You know.
If you look at everything in indifference, then you're no better than the sociopaths who rule the world today.
Well, aren't I controlling this world, conquering this world? So, you know.
I think he has a problem.
Yeah, you complain about my problems every episode, Griggs.
That's just my shtick, Kunagooses.
Yeah, I know.
I'll learn to live with it.
Yeah. Just like it's my shtick to kind of salivate over the nice battle scenes and kill animations. But yes, we are besieging the city of Massalia, which is...
So who are this rival faction then?
I am currently... That's Massalia. They're a Greek colony in southern Gaul, modern-day Marseille. I'm currently fighting them. And beating them. A bit of a problem that I talked about in a few episodes. I've been too fond of auto-resolving. When I get to this later stage, I get quite lazy.
Because most of these battles aren't worth his time, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Sometimes it's like, can't be bothered doing this. I'm just gonna auto-resolve it.
Very lazy, if I do say so myself.
Yes,
he puts all this time and effort into all these battle strategies, and he doesn't go through with the battles.
I just, you know, we will have a nice battle in this one. I suppose the one consolation about the missing episode is that there were no battles in it, apparently.
Because someone decided to auto-resolve a lot of them.
Well, sorry, I can't exactly rectify decisions I made practically nearly a year ago at this point.
Jesus, leave poor Massalia alone, they've had enough.
I'm afraid I can't do that. And now Massalia is a bunch of rubble. But at least I get to rebuild it as a Carthaginian settlement. So it'll be very Africanized. So, but yes, I'd say...
So what's your world empire going for, Adam? Like, what's the motif? Like, we can see the logo there, but like, what's your philosophy?
Well, not sure if I can talk about philosophy. I know that I'm just basically conquering to a certain point that I decided are somewhat arbitrarily. But what makes Carthage more unique, I guess, is it's a republic, a mercantile republic.
He basically has the same problem as Daenerys Targaryen. He's an expert conqueror, but a shit ruler.
Well, I'm trying to rule everything else, but I've got stability across most conquered regions. Haven't had many rebellions. You know, I'm researching to get new libraries. So, you know, I'd like to think I'm a decent enough ruler. Just the focus of this game is quite simply on just expansion.
No, I don't know. You could go mad one day and burn it all down.
Well, unfortunately, there's no mechanic to actually completely destroy a settlement like in Attila.
Or make god-awful endings in the case of Game of Thrones.
Yes. Let me hear of course, I'm not versed in Game of Thrones to really talk about what the hell was that shit show. All I just know is it was an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
But here I am engaging in trade negotiations with Knossos, the faction that rules Crete. Which is basically me trying to see how much money can I squeeze out of them for this agreement. I can agree to this,
although I do think the wine too insipid to drink.
So, you know, we got that nice things going on.
We fight for you, my lord.
But yes, so we're preparing to...
I like the character voices.
Yes. I suppose they give Carthage... Carthage has its own unique voice lines, you know.
They pretty much just say the exact same lines every time you hover over them.
Yeah, I'm feeling if you put like a set amount of hours into it, then like you'd get like them saying the exact same lines over and over again.
They just do it in like different voices and accents depending on the region you're in.
Like, for Carthage, they're gonna say a lot of stuff like Bal Hamon be praised, Lady Tanit bless our journey, for Carthage, you know. You'll hear a lot of those.
Yeah.
And look, I'm about to buy this settlement. That's a feature from a mod called Timbe's Trade Regions. Lets you purchase settlements. He actually recently updated the mod. Now you can sell a settlement.
Yeah.
But of course, that's not a feature in this campaign because he only did that recently. Because yeah, so that's an interesting mechanic. I've yet to actually do any buying or selling in my current campaign privately as Rome. I'm playing Rome 2 again. I haven't played Rome 2 in ages. Now I'm starting to play it again, which is nice.
How many hours do you put in that series? Like, I'd say you've put in like hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Well, for this very series, I actually don't know how much I put into it. Probably a long hours. There are about 17 gameplay sessions that this was done in.
Mm-hmm. They were all divided. They all have to be divided up into at least 3 to 5 parts each.
Yeah, and typically when I game, I'm gaming for between 3 and 4 hours. So assume that each session is between 2 and 4 hours long, and multiply that by 17. Although include a few sessions that we had to redo, because there are a few instances of having to redo some sessions.
Yeah.
So yeah, but overall in Rome 2, the game itself, I've clocked in over 1,500 hours.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's commitment right there.
Well,
yeah, it is straight up commitment.
It is basically the first PC game I got.
Yeah.
Really? It's the very first PC game you got?
Yeah, see, the gas thing was I bought this game back when I was using a laptop. And it was crashing my laptop whenever I'd play it. Because my laptop couldn't handle it. So I clocked in like a couple of hours, but not very much.
Yeah.
And then
what kind of laptop did you have exactly that it kept breaking down, or did
the
it
laptop
just not
itself
have
was
enough
okay.
memory space?
It was just the laptop couldn't handle the game. It would crash the laptop every time I play it. So I had to kind of put it on hold for a few years until I got this PC. And then I played the shit out of it.
Yeah.
You know, I remember there was one I think it was a Friday evening, I played the game for like 6 hours. Yeah. So
yeah, it's a long enough gameplay session, 6 hours.
Yeah. Again, most of the time I play between 3 and 4 in a gameplay sit down session. So this was quite something. But yeah, so it's the game I've clocked in the most hours in out of all of the games. Don't think there's any other game that's anywhere near as close to this in terms of hours clocked. You know. But it's a fun game, especially with this overhaul mod I'm using called Timbe Et Impera. So this isn't the base game, this is me using an overhaul mod.
Oh.
That makes it kind of tougher, slower, and more immersive, kind of historically authentic, you might say.
Okay.
So factions are named closer to their language at the time, or if they can't use the language of the period, they'll use Greek or Latin names as a replacement.
Yeah.
Units follow a similar format.
Authenticity, let's just say.
Yes, of course.
I can tell, yeah.
Yeah, of course I'm a fan of authenticity, considering I did a bloody Masters in Classics.
Didn't you say that there was like a samurai mod or something like that for Total War Rome when you were playing that?
There's not a samurai mod for Total War Rome 2. There is a Shogun.
Shogun, yeah. That's
samurai.
what it was.
There's a Shogun Total War. There's 2 Shogun Total Wars actually.
Ooh,
the very first Total War game is called Shogun Total War. I've never played it, but I played quite a lot of Shogun 2. You know, it's set in the Sengoku Jidai, which is like Japan's warring states period. The most famous conflict, I think, in Japanese history. Other than World War II, I suppose. But here we are besieging BURDIGALA, modern-day Bordeaux, which is also in Massalian hands.
I love how they're two like kaiju size soldiers fighting each other.
Yeah, on the campaign you'll just see those big-ish figures, but when you get into the battlefield, of course, it's loads of soldiers. you know. So all those entities and units will be represented on the battlefield. And the thing about this mod is that the units are designed by the mod devs. None of them are from the base game.
Yeah.
So they have very detailed models.
And they basically keep adding different versions of the DEI whenever they can.
Yeah, the mod is frequently updated. There's usually about 2 updates per year. So one around the summer, one around the winter. So they're currently working on their winter patch.
Tuna Goose is basically just keeps an eye on it every single day, see if there are any new.
Well, I'm on their Discord, so
all the same, like.
Yeah, so here we are trying to figure out what units to recruit into this army. I got rid of one of the elephants so I can get the better elephant. I'm deciding what else because I have room for 2 more. Because the Atlas elephants, as they're called, are more numbers and they have a lot more armor on them. So they're much cooler to use. Also, they have towers on their backs with javelin men on them.
Yeah.
Like from Lord of the Rings, basically.
I'm sure Lord of the Rings was inspired by that, because that was not an uncommon thing to do in warfare for war elephants. Put towers on their backs.
Oh, okay then.
So I think even if you play as any of the ones that uses Indian elephants, they'll have archers on their backs.
And they can be like the type of archers that you choose, or are they like randomized?
Just a basic archer unit that's on the back of the other. No special units. Just what comes with the elephant unit is there's an archer on the tower on their backs.
Yeah.
But yeah. Here's me trying to upgrade our temples, particularly the temple to Melkart. I believe Herodotus compared him to Heracles or Hercules. Seem to think that he and Hercules think of the same.
Yeah.
Which is quite an interesting thing I remember learning about. I think I was doing a module on Heracles, probably found that out.
Oh, cool. Were you doing that just in the Masters you completed?
No,
or
it was
that
my bachelor's.
during...
It was in my bachelor's. We did a module on Heracles. Called Heracles the Hero. So it's kind of all about him and his mythology and I suppose his historical significance. Fairness, it's pretty interesting. Although not something I learned in college, but even apparently it was popular in what's called Greco-Buddhism.
Yeah.
So the Greeks went as far as India. And in going as far as India, their culture kind of fused with even Buddhism. Many of them adopted Buddhism. And they would start to therefore, fuse the cultures a bit and use Greek-style art on Buddhist figures. And there is a thing in Buddhism known as the Vajrapani, a kind of a protector of the Buddha. And in Greco-Buddhist art, they use Heracles as the likeness for the Vajrapani.
Yeah.
Which apparently found its way into Japan.
Oh,
so the Japanese apparently worship what is kind of Heracles' likeness. There's actually a video, it's a short video by one of the DEI developers actually, talking about this.
Yeah.
His name is Cam. His channel's called History is Awesome. It used to be just called Cam, I think, but he talked about it. It's pretty interesting. But as you see me trying to be a decent ruler, I'm upgrading all the libraries. Icarix.
Yes, because libraries are the most important.
Well, gotta make sure that these people are well learned.
Take what you can.
So how else are you going to learn how to conquer all your enemies?
Yes. So here we are raiding outside BURDIGALA, whilst we're moving our spy further into Gaul.
Again with all the raiding, jeez.
So we're having a look. Looks like a lot of Gaul is owned by the Arverni tribe.
What's your favorite thing to do in this game, do you reckon?
Ooh, what's my favorite thing to do? I suppose just kind of fight interesting battles with cool, interesting units.
Yeah.
You also likes to occasionally take snapshots of all the carnage.
Yes, I like constantly in battles when I can pressing that F12 key for screenshots.
Yeah.
Sure, we use them for our end cards. For
Yeah,
every
yeah, the
episode.
thumbnails for the videos.
Yeah, well, the thumbnail is just a basic thumbnail I use its template for. But at
Oh,
the
fair
end,
enough, yeah.
the end of the video, we usually will have a little end card, and it's usually a screenshot that Icarix has chosen.
So it's like a key moment from like the episode.
Just a nice, that's it from the episode. Just a nice little, interesting picture from the battle, from a battle somewhere.
Although I think it's about time that I changed them. Actually, I feel like I've been using the same end thumbnail.
Yeah, I think you've been using the same end card, at least from what I noticed. The one that probably depicts a battle that's much later into this campaign.
Yeah, I think starting around this session, I'm gonna try to see if I can find different ones to use.
Yeah, you should still have them, because I remember sending you loads of them back before a lot of them got wiped clean when I had to reset my PC. But even then, there was still plenty of campaign for me to do at the time, even after the PC reset, so I should still have them if you need me to find them and send them to you.
Well, I think I should still have them myself. I'll take a look.
Yeah. It'd be nice to update it and have something a little bit more fresh. But yes.
For Carthage! Laying siege to the settlement!
Let's see what we do.
Oh, who are we laying siege to this time?
Well, it's Massalia, but it's the city of BURDIGALA.
I just won't leave the bloody Messalians alone. They've been through enough. They've been through the ringer. They've been... No, they haven't been just through the ringer. They've been in the coal mines and basically steamed alive at this point.
Nice vivid imagery there.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's appropriate. They've been through so much. You gotta cut them some slack
Here I
eventually.
am trespassing and raiding on the Arverni tribe.
Come, come, let me hear.
So we'll soon be fighting some
Our
Celts. You know. Speaking of which, my book in Celtic Warfare finally arrived, so that'll be nice to read through. You know, I've talked
You
about
finally
this
got the
in-
English translation.
Not an English translation, it's a newly written book on Celtic Warfare. It's just the fact it's probably the only book about the topic explicitly that's in English. Because I believe the English scholarship has generally been a little bit behind on that area. Apparently the French have been pretty good at keeping up to date in that side of things.
Yeah?
That's what I remember, that's just what I was told anyways. But this is by an Italian author who actually runs a YouTube channel, Europa Antiqua.
Is it any good?
Yeah, the channel is pretty good. He talks a lot about kind of ancient military history stuff.
No
But his
warrior lies
his
standing.
videos are all in Italian. He's usually had them subtitled, but his most recent ones aren't subtitled.
For the glory of our people.
And I don't know enough Italian to follow. But it's interesting to watch the odd video from him.
Yeah.
But yes. We will have a battle in this, I'm sure. Right, Icarix?
For our
Yes.
might.
Just be patient, Kunagooses, okay?
So let's see. Am I going to auto-resolve? Oh no, I'm actually going to fight this one.
See, I was saving that for you as a surprise.
So yeah, here's the map of BURDIGALA. At least, rather, I suppose, a general map of a Massalian city. And we are moving our siege towers in.
Oh, I haven't seen those in a while, actually.
Yeah. I suppose the fact is the bulk of the infantry here are Iberian. They have what's called guerrilla deployment, means they can move further ahead on the field, so...
I
That's what
definitely
I'm
see
doing.
you have a bunch of Scutari on the walls.
Scutari
Or on
and I
the,
think Ambacti. So,
Oh, and Bacti, right.
both of them.
They look cool.
Yeah. So Scutari are Iberian, kind of Spanish infantry with those big oval shields, hence their name, because scutum was the Latin word for those kind of shields. And the Ambacti, their name means like champions, and they're more like elite nobles.
What's the wooden thing in the village there?
The wooden thing, you mean?
So like where all the soldiers are boarding on to fight
Those
the
are
Spanish
siege
soldiers.
towers.
Okay.
So they're carrying soldiers to deploy them onto the walls.
Mm.
So they can
That
flood
makes
the
sense.
walls. But yeah, so we have those guys right up there are my Ambacti, those Celtiberian champions. They're a pretty fun unit to use. They look pretty cool. We'll hopefully get some nice visuals of them. Their models are very tall and they got masks.
What kind of masks do they wear, actually? I never asked.
They're like metal face masks. Some of them are just a plain silvery, probably iron face, and others are more of a bearded face.
Do they try to go for like an intimidating look or a blank look? Because I know that sometimes masks in battle can be used.
I think they
for
just have a blank
intimidation
look to them.
purposes.
I don't know much about the history side of things. I'm not well versed in specifics of the Iberians, whether how much that was legitimately a thing. But they look good. I know that the bearded face mask model is used for cataphracts a lot. Particularly a lot of Greek cataphracts, like the Seleucids, they'll have those sorts of bearded face masks. And even the Galatian heavy swords have those masks.
Yeah.
That's just handiness in using certain models, but yeah. We were deploying more troops onto the walls.
Who do we have climbing up there now?
I think those are my Libyan Theraeus soldiers. Yeah, I think those are my Libyan Theraeus spears. Theraeus just means the shield they're using, the oval shield. So a Theraeoporos means someone who bears that oval Theraeus shield. The word means door.
I'll say this much: I'd say they're making short work of the fortifications up there.
Oh yeah, I got high quality heavy infantry attacking what are mostly garrison soldiers. And those guys specifically look to be Balearic slingers, so they're going to be massacred. As we see, there's a bit of a nice slaughter going on. Or as Icarix likes to call it, a rave.
See, the
Yeah, that's one way of
thing
putting
is, like, they don't always look like they're fighting. It's due to the AI. Basically, the
animation
just look like they're having a
limitations.
dance party.
It's more just
Let's
the way
just
the
say
battle
the
system
AI
It
works.
kind of does actually. Yeah, I can see that.
So it's the
Yeah,
fact
that's
that
the thing. That's the
they
thing
may
about
not
the
look
AI.
like they're
You gotta-
actually fighting, but I think what's happening is that there is fighting. The game processes there is fighting, and HP is being depleted for each entity.
And that's
I'd argue that
mainly
they're
a fault
marching
of
and they're
either the
raving at the same
programming
time.
or the AI, honestly.
Yeah.
But then you think about the people who made this creative assembly, and they made a fucking excellent AI for Alien Isolation, actually.
They did.
Yeah, so it kind of makes you wonder why they didn't just do it for this as well. Now, I get the suspicion that it was because they had a lot more variables to work with, which is very understandable.
Yeah. Plus, also one thing is this game was an absolute hot mess when it came out. It was basically
Really, what was wrong with it?
it was basically broken at launch.
Oh.
Think like No Man's Sky.
So basically, like that. It was basically like No Man's Sky.
Yes, I was about
where,
to say
like, it
similar
was-
to that. They just kind of rushed it out, and it was basically broken at launch.
So basically, like No Man's Sky.
Yes.
It was released in an absolute shit show, and
Yeah.
then eventually they fix it up, and then.
Yeah,
everyone
but it
loved
still
this.
has a lot of problems. There's still a lot of
But
bugs.
a lot of people thought it was a general improvement, regardless.
Oh yeah, like it's been 20 patches at least. And it is in a more playable state now, of course. And then you've got a lot of mods that are able to do a lot to push it to its limits, like this mod, DEI.
Mm-hmm.
How many gigabytes would you say it took for them to fix these issues?
I wouldn't even know, to be honest. I'm not sure. Here we have on the other side some enemy navy garrison kind of decided to attack, and my cavalry wiped them out. Some Libyans and I think some Numidians. Numidians were Berber people from modern day Algeria. They were famous for their quality horsemen in antiquity. So that's what we got going on there. And some enemy archers shooting on my poor fellas who are coming down. I'm probably not even. I probably wasn't even paying
Oh,
attention
shit's
to
getting
realize
real
that.
now. Look at that.
Yeah.
So they had it coming.
Yeah.
Oh, those guys are dead.
Yes, and we're sending more troops up onto the walls.
They didn't even. Those guys don't even stand a chance. They might as well just run with their tails in between their legs.
It looks like there's a bit of an AI pathfinding problem. My Gallic
What?
swords, right there, are struggling to go up the wall.
Oh, Jesus.
CJI is particularly bad with pathfinding. Very wonky.
You think they'll ever get around to fixing that?
Well, DEI can't do much to change the AI. At best, they can only indirectly influence its behavior. They can't directly mod the AI, it's hard-coded. And I think they can't do much to change settlement maps. Maps in general, I think, are very difficult to edit up in Rome 2. Yeah, so it's kind of one of those problems. It's kind of not very moddable in many ways. And here we have some close-ups of fighting.
Nasty.
There we go. Some real 300 style action here.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got a lot of spaghetti bolognese on the ground there. Very tasty.
This is some Greek horsemen fighting against my multi-ethnic army. Yeah,
Sure, if this was really a 300 style battle, where's all the homoeroticism?
Yeah.
well, I suppose expect that more from the Greeks.
I wouldn't put it past them.
But that was a Greek thing, kinda. You know, the Greeks were big on that sort of thing. But, yeah. Finally, we're getting those Gauls off the walls. Yeah, those are a decent unit, those Gullberry Kuroras. Celtic sword band. Here we have my Libyans, who are celebrating when they really shouldn't be at this moment.
Why?
Because the battle isn't over.
Sure, the AI just has a mind of its own.
That's the thing with units. If enemy units rout, what happens is your guys will just like to celebrate when it's not really the right time to celebrate just yet. And we have
Sure,
this
they probably just wanted to be over and done with.
maybe. And here we have my Libyans are fighting, whilst also taking hits from arrows.
Ooh, that's nasty.
Yes. We're now chasing after those archers.
Jeez, you think the archers would at least stand their ground?
Well, they're probably automatically set to skirmish mode, which means they're going to run away from enemies to get close to them. Which, well, they're archers, they're not going to do good at melee.
I'm actually kind of surprised that archers never really went through any sort of melee combat or training whatsoever.
I suppose they wouldn't normally, you don't really want them to fight up close, that's the thing. You'd want just to stick to the fighting from afar.
No, it just feels like something that would be beneficial as a secondary combat tactic. You know what I mean? Like,
I suppose, but I guess most of the time these are people where it's just cheaper to equip them with little armor. Especially if you do with the fact that in the ancient world, most of the time, people as our soldiers were not professionals. They were just, oh, the state is in trouble. Grab what you can and just go and fight.
it would have solved an awful lot of issues, if you ask me.
Or just most places didn't have the resources to necessarily have a professional full-time army. You know.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Sparta kinda did, but they had a massive chunk of slaves handling everything else. You know, but Rome Rome had to grow significantly into a very, very wealthy, powerful state before they could start being able to afford a full-time professional military. In Carthage, well, they just relied on mercenaries to do the bulk of the fighting. But that's getting to the essence of history. We ain't here for a history lesson.
Well, I don't know. I think some of our dear viewers could do with a history lesson.
Perhaps. I suppose we
After
plan
all,
to start
I'll
making
start
history-related
channel all
videos
about
eventually.
history soon.
Oh yeah, still
Consider
slowly.
this a crash course, dear viewers.
I wouldn't call it a full-on crash course, but we're starting to move our elephants in.
African elephants, you mean?
Yes, African elephants. It's only just going to be African elephants as Carthage.
Just wanted to point that out for the viewers who may have been confused.
That an African state only has African elephants,
Yes.
as opposed to what? Somehow being able to get Indian elephants?
Yes.
And how would I be able to get Indian elephants? I'm nowhere near India.
I have no idea, but technology has a funny way of working.
In fairness, I think when you talk to history, I believe Hannibal Barca, the famous Carthaginian general, may have had a Syrian elephant.
Really now?
Because there was an elephant apparently called Surus, which means Syrian. So, he might have had some Asian elephants. But that's a might. Nobody knows for sure.
Ah, look at all that. They've got jam everywhere. That's just sloppy. Oh, here we go. Here comes a stampede.
Yes. So let's see how you get to rate this one.
They haven't even made it across. They haven't even made it through the front door yet, so they're not doing very well, are they?
Well, there's a lot of enemies in the way.
There should be no problem for them. That's the point.
Well, they're trying. Now they've gotten in.
Yeah. 5. Should have been better.
Well, we'll have, I suppose, a better one in a later video, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're nearing the end of this part, and we're slaughtering up those Greeks. Grinding them up, I shall say.
I would say grinding them up, I'd say crushing them and mashing them.
But grinding has nice alliteration. You know, grinding Greeks, ground Greeks.
There's nothing wrong with being literal sometimes.
But I say we're effectively done with this battle. Oh, here we are in the campaign. To see the aftermath. So we lose
Nicely
2
done.
units. Now it's time to do our sacking.